Hey Vibe Tribe, this is Jess Venus with Life Force Energy. I wanted to get on here and share a little bit about what I've been noticing in my sessions, and as 2020 has unfolded and been opening up many opportunities for energies to influence our society. So I wanted to go over about what are walk-ins and takeovers. Since I have been in my practice for many years, I have noticed that the increase of negative energies are violating people, and it doesn't matter how spiritual, how new you are into discovering or hearing about the paranormal and other influential energies that will violate your space. People are beginning to notice. Sometimes they keep it to themselves and they're quiet about it because first they're doubting themselves. They question it, but yet things keep happening for them. They keep seeing things and they don't know what's happening. And then we have people that may not have the study or the experience or even the terminology, but they know deep down inside something is off and they're trying to figure it out. Then we've got people that are like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I am not afraid to confront this and see what I need to do. I'm going to hire someone to discover what's going on. I need an investigator. When a person is in a vulnerable position, now it could be sometimes maybe your health is being compromised. Maybe like I was explaining to some people this week, you know, when our immune system is low, we can be vulnerable to a cold, a flu, you know, or even if our immune system isn't low, but maybe we don't have really good nutritional values. So then we're not really taking care of our body. So I'm giving you ideas about health. Another vulnerable position can be your heart. Say you're mourning. Say you're overwhelmed. You're burdened because something terrible is going on in your life or for people that you love and care for. So now your heart chakra is compromised. Another vulnerable position for energy influences to come in is when your energy field hasn't been consistently cleared. Whether you do it yourself every day, like you brush your teeth, you use your restroom, you eat your food to keep your body going. I was raised differently than most people. It was part of my routine. So I thought everyone knew and learned how to take care of themselves and to acknowledge when paranormal activity was happening around them, and if it attached to you, or if it was in a location that you were at, or if you were walking into something, that you could pick that up. I thought everyone had that when I was a little girl growing up, and that's not the case. So if you don't have yourself energetically cleared, either you do it yourself or you have someone do it for you. Now I tell people, imagine you had cooked for your family or you cooked for yourself and you let it go for weeks. Well, eventually your area is going to get filled up with dirty, used dishes. So that's a lot to clean up, and that could be in a week. Now imagine you've never had energy work done, or you haven't cleared yourself in, I don't know, in a few weeks, or you forget to do it in a few days. It starts to consume, okay? It piles up in the corners. So that's why I tell everyone, you must every day, like in the morning, I don't care if you're brushing your teeth, whatever your usual routine, add in, you are grounding, you are shielding, you are clearing yourself, you're doing intentional work. If you are an energy practitioner of any kind, you must be doing it every day and check on yourself throughout the day. Make sure that if you're working on people, that you didn't pick up anything just in case. So, and I also saw another vulnerable position for people is sometimes they don't know how to clear themselves. So then I'm telling people, study, read, learn, talk to other people, start figuring it out. Hi, thanks for coming in. And then I tell people, so you know how to do it, but if you're not doing it daily, it's showing up. It will show up in your field. So then how do you shield, heal, and defend yourself from these paranormal experiences? The reason why I'm sharing this is that it is insanely increasing, in my opinion, from someone that's grown up this way. Whether I was doing it personally in my family, or I ended up doing it for people at church because I was very involved back in the day in church, where I would be they would call me a prayer warrior. And people would come to me and ask me to lay hands upon them. So it was very natural for me, but until that it became too like where it didn't serve them, then they're like, you're, heresy, you blasphemy. And they didn't accept me anymore. And then I continued on in my soul's journey and met other people that were like me, and we really understood each other. And so we were able to communicate about this. And so I'm seeing on some level, as the people are coming in, that the person's soul, the person overall, and their energy field is open to some form of possession. Now, this is what I was taught, and I used to get so mad when I was told this by not just my healer that I have now, but other teachers and my healers when I was a little girl. They said I would allow it in at some point. Well, no, I don't want that kind of crap attached to me. How could I have allowed that in? Well, if I was watching certain movies, which has happened to me throughout my life here and there, and I got really caught up in the moment, or I got scared and I opened up this energy portal and now I let them in. So that's one way. The other one was, to some level, I've allowed it because maybe my emotions, my mental state was like a doomsday. And I was like, whatever, I don't even care anymore. It's just, that's how everything is, because I was that person. And then, boom, attachment. Yay. And then another way that I've noticed, if it happens on some level of degree, is because if you have any compassion, any bond connection with anyone, your heart kind of drops down the defenses. And if that person that you're dealing with has entities themselves, or they have some other negative, dark energies attached to them, and you weren't ready, you're going to pick up at some level because you're wanting to protect and nurture them and to take care of them and to defend them. Those are just a few examples. And what's happening is that whether you can be in denial about it or not, you can pretend it's not really happening, or you're like, I'm so spiritual, there's no way. I've learned that is not true. I learned it because one of my mentors had warned us all in all of our trainings. Don't ever think that you're bigger and stronger than what you're up against. Always ask before you remove these things if you are the correct person to do it. Don't do it just because it's $1. You can make money another way. You don't need that. But don't do it because you're trying to show this person, oh, I'm so amazing. Like my clients know that I'll ask and I'll tell them, I'm like, if it's not meant for me, I'm not going to do it. I will send you to someone else and see if they'll do the work on you. And sometimes we're not meant to do it because maybe the person has to deal with it a little longer, because they're going to learn something very significant that's going to impact their lives and completely change them. Sometimes it's karmic, where they have to deal with it a little longer because they're going to learn something greater than any book, than any person can teach them, because life and that energy is coming in to show them something about themselves and about the world. The other reason why, if a healer is not able to do the work, is because that healer may not have had enough experience, or it's to protect the healer from the experience, because they're needed to do other things. So there's many variations. So let's not just think it's only one or the other. I like that Helena had posted in our FB and IG post, where there is a duality. Two things can exist at once. So I wanted to share with you that the paranormal experiences are very real. We are not alone. We never were, and we won't be. The paranormal is now becoming a little more normal in today's society. I mean, come on. We've got, which I'm part of, I think they're so cool to watch sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes I'll watch shows, that have like paranormal activity, whether it's in reality or as in story form, because I can relate to it. It's part of who I've always been, and it's part of what I do as my purpose. So I don't mind it so much, where someone else will be like, There's movies that are explaining more about the paranormal. Sometimes they make it in a story form, and sometimes they show it like, no, this is an actual story, which you already know some of those movies. I'm getting here because we're getting we're getting a lot of activity. Now we even have Facebook Lives. There's groups. They're actually ghost hunters. Okay. And there's all this new cool technology that I didn't have when I was growing up, not to the level that we have now, that they can pick up frequencies and voices and sounds. They even have little machines that if you put right on the floor and you call and allow the paranormal activity to happen, the light will move, the toy will move. Oh, I've seen such neat things. Okay. They also have TikToks. Let's talk about phone recordings. All of a sudden you're just taking a picture and they're like, what's that over us? I have had those before phones existed. Yeah, I know I'm dating myself, but that's okay. We had cameras and we actually had pictures of paranormal in the pictures with me and certain people. We're now picking up images. Like I said, whether it's through our cell phone, we're picking up images as we're watching another person doing a live. We may see good orbs. We may see things that are not so great. So I'm noticing that society is becoming more open-minded, and they're also getting to a point where they can't deny it anymore. So judgmental society in due time will lose their grip of denial and attacking others at some point in their own lives. Now, what's happening is, too, fear is now being replaced with anger, frustration, and now confrontation. People are over it because they're noticing that you can't keep covering your eyes anymore and denying it. No, it's not true. Because making these excuses to it can't be real, those things aren't true. You're lying. You're a whack job. Doesn't keep the monsters away now, does it? It's time to face it. So I'm going to give you an idea. What are some symptoms? There's various, but I'm going to just give you a little idea. What are some symptoms of when a negative energy is either in your space or attached to you? A lot of times people are becoming more disoriented and they're like, I don't understand. I just feel kind of out of it. There's differences with ascension and what have you, and they're going to seem similar, but there is a grand difference between. All of a sudden, your personality becomes violent or irritable, or you're just wanting to attack others. It's like this fuel of anger because these energies are so excited that they got to enter your field. They're like, yes, I got a puppet. All right, puppet, this is what you're going to do for me, because they found a host. I mean, there's actual videos, if you look on YouTube, of security cameras off the street where you'll literally see one entity jump from one person into another. And you can actually see it because they're looking for another host to get them to do what they want them to do. And so you may feel like this is an unnatural behavior all of a sudden that you're experiencing. Maybe you're doing a certain type of recreational thing that you would have never done, but you can't stop. You obsess over it. You crave it. You got to have it. And everyone else will be telling you, you need to stop. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting us. And you're like, I don't care. There's this possession that happens with people that they become overwhelmed and just like there's no more control. They lose control. We'll go into about what the subject matter is, but I'm giving you some ideas. Oh, I've also seen, this is terrible. When certain entities or energies come in, whatever word you want to put it in, we'll just say violating energies, because that's what we're really going to go into, is all of a sudden you have unexplained accidents, slip and falls, someone hits you, you drop your phone, it cracks, it's broken, you're like, what the heck? And you're bumping into things. All of a sudden, like, people are like attacking you, like you're just driving and someone's like, F you, or they want to hurt you. So that's another idea. The other one can be all of a sudden you're not acting a certain way that your loved ones are used to, and You can't explain it, and you will even make excuses about it, and so your loved ones are suffering around you. Another way that energy can come in and violate you, it can make you obsessive. And I have mentioned just that a little bit. I've seen people, they get an intense obsession or attraction to something or someone. And it's like they're constantly being charmed to do whatever it is. So they're completely being used. These are signs that spirits, there's different variations, because I've had people ask me, they're like, well, what's the difference? And I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so many differences. It's like, when I say ethnicities, you can think the Latin. Well, there's Salvadorian, you've got Spanish, you've got Mexican, you've got Brazilian. Well, you've got all these different variations of cultures, right? Same idea in regards to other energies, other paranormal activities. So it's not a one for all. That's why I can't give a one for all. I'm just giving you from my experience, my studies, and for my many years of practice, what can I kind of give to you guys as a consistent thing that I'm seeing. Oh, how about this one? I'm not going to say the same lyric songs as the other one, but it always feels like, right? You could feel something is like right there. And you're like looking over your shoulder, you're feeling weird, or you feel like you have to lock the doors, but then you're like, wait, I just did everything and I'm still feeling uncomfortable. When a certain location feels uncomfortable, trust your intuition. What's happening is that in religion and the metaphysical and the spiritual, whatever you want to use as a category to relate to this, there is a way of saying the veil has thinned. In other words, the other realms, they've always been intertwined with ours, always. That has never stopped. But it's like they're trespassing in a way that it's like, it's just too happening so much. And so the result is these people and locations, I just can't help but to think about the Ghostbusters movie. It's kind of like that, where it's just all of a sudden it's just all over the place. It's like you clean up one area and then it's like, 5 more come up. You're like, or like other movies, sci-fi movies, it's like they just finished the job. And then next show or next movie continuation is something worse is coming through. And it's really, that's how it is. That's why they're so popular. It's not just a show, but they're really showing you that is how life really is. So I had a client ask me, well, not just a client, many clients would say, Jess, do I have to do this all the time? I'm like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do anytime. That's the power of choice. But if I were to do this, will it be good forever? And I go, oh man, I was right there with you. Let me tell you something. Because the way I grew up, I was so sick and tired of seeing, feeling, dealing with things. I wouldn't even go to people's places or go to certain events. Couldn't tell them why, because they'd be like, okay. But the reality was that all of a sudden I channel in or I get a vision. I'm hearing in my clear audience, repeat word. In other words, don't attend. Don't meet with this person. Been like that my whole life. My mom and my sister wouldn't even want to take me places because they would have to turn me around. And if they didn't, my mom would have to literally pay people to clear me and her and my sister. So that was a lot of fun for them. And I had been angry with them when I was little growing up. And then later on as an adult, I understood why they didn't want to take me, because it was like back in the day, it's not like we had GPS and, or we drive and then they'd have to turn around and come back or find me a babysitter. And I didn't go to be babysat by anyone. It was just my grandmother. So it wasn't convenient to have a kid like me that sensitive. And which is fine, because it served me so that I know exactly and can relate and know how to help you as you're going through it. So what I'm going to talk about, because this is what I'm seeing a lot and not all the time. Like, it was so nice this week. So far, I had one person that only had cords and none of the other nasty stuff. And the joke is by Helena. Helena goes, when did we become the Ghostbuster team? I go, girlfriend, we always been. It's just that it's increasing. So here's what I was telling another person before I go into what is a walk-in and takeover. That's why I said judgmental society can only, for so long, they're losing their grip on trying to say it's not true and that the monsters will go away. It's only, as we're continuing, going to become more visible, consistent. The shifting of the planet has opened so many portals. And if you've been watching my videos for the past year, the dreams, the visions, I've told you guys that portals are going to be opening on streets, on trails. And if you've been going to historical, let's call them historical places, okay? We talked about this before. There was a show that I used to like watching, Warehouse 13, that artifacts would take possession and take energy influences, and that there's an actual warehouse somewhere on this planet that has artifacts that have been all of a sudden missing. And it's the way of containing or trying to prevent certain energies for disrupting the whole planet and society. That's the rumor. So, what is a walk-in and takeover? Oh man, the walk-ins. Okay, so again, I've already talked to you, gave you some ideas about how this can happen, because a lot of people that they're super, they're in a place where they're complete acceptance, they do energy work, and they're in a vulnerable place and they think there's no way that it could have gotten to me. And unfortunately, it happens to the best of us. It does. I've seen it in my mentors. It's happened to me. These walk-ins is another energy, and they can be from different parts of the galaxy, we'll say, because I don't see that it's just another, it's like a deceased soul or disembodied soul. It's not like that. It's just another, we'll say another soul, another energy form. And I gave you ideas of how they can enter. So what happens is you go, ooh, I like that host. I'm going to go ahead and occupy their space. In fact, I'm going to go ahead, take residence in that person's body, and I'm going to pull that soul out, and I'm going to put my soul in. Now, there are good walk-ins, okay? There's ceremonies around the world that actually allow the walk-in, because one soul is like, I'm retired. It's not working out the way I want. So there's actual cultures where they'll bring in another soul to take in and to fulfill the soul's contract on wherever they're located in the planes, okay? So there's good ones in the sense where there is a mutual exchange of, yes, there is a consent. I know that sounds probably really strange for people, but I'm just got to share this because it's going to become, well, for me, I've seen the increase, and my mentor did tell me I was going to see more of it, and no joke. It's like, what the heck? No wonder my mentors were like, another day at the office, because it's just like muck, 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 muck. And then I thought about The Incredibles. When, there's a scene where he's like, I just cleaned up this mess, and it's all dirty all over again. But that's what I came here to do, was to clean up the mess. So what ends up happening, so one soul will walk out, right? We'll say, here's the body, this body, and that soul says, I'm ready to walk out. I'm going to allow another soul to come in to take over and fulfill my contract. So then that soul walks out, and then there's a walk-in that comes in to complete the mission of the body that they took over. Okay, so a lot of times, depending on the person's awareness and whom they go to, that soul that had just walked out, the original resident of that vessel, was like, I'm ready to go. And instead of, because of unbearable life circumstances, they can't deal. So instead of committing, other acts that would pull them out, and they don't want the karmic laws because they understand it and they respect it, they'll go to a witch doctor, we'll say, and the witch doctor will go ahead and conjure another soul that would be best met, so that, and there's like a whole ceremony, and there's all this stuff that goes on, so that the new occupant of that same vessel will kind of not only fulfill the other person's soul contract, but help to transition so that the family and the people that original occupant had may hopefully not notice too much, but usually they do. And that's why when the takeover happens, the marriages end up ending, or children leave them because they're like, I don't even know you anymore. Okay. So the new walk-in soul agrees to complete, like I said, the contract left by the walk-out soul. And so rather than having the vessel die, in order to release the previous, the original soul from its incarnation, the other soul steps in and picks up where the previous one had left off. I hope that is clear. Okay, now walk-ins, when they become negative, say that, for example, you didn't do any of that ceremony, there was no agreement, it was just a complete violation, a trespass. This, because there's, you know, I always tell people, don't ever think that there's only one, oh, this one's always good. Like people like, oh, there's terrible reptilians. Well, there's good ones too. And bad, you know, Latins, but there's good ones too. Like, you know, like don't do that. There's you don't need a certain label. It is what it is, right? The life view is. And so when walk-ins can become negative, that's when those signs that I had given to you start showing up, because there is no agreement from the soul that is still occupying. Okay, there's like a tug of war of this terrible squatter that came into your body, and so there's this fight. But there is, like, depending on the person's soul, they may become very weakened, disgruntled, overwhelmed, and they don't know how to deal with all this. It's very unbearable for them. So then that's when they usually look out for people like myself or other people that do this type of work and say, get this crap off of me. It's causing me anxiety, depression. I'm super angry. I'm disoriented. I can't function. I can't sleep. I can't eat. And again, it's not based upon ascension symptoms. It's not based because of energy clearing. It's a different level of violation. And so then what ends up happening is when it's negative, it's a total ultimate violation of a soul exchange. It's so wrong. It's like when anyone were to touch you without your consent. It's it's nasty like that, okay? So the other problem too that I've seen and have studied is when it's not agreed upon, that walk-in can take out that person's vessel, retire it, and go to someone else. That's why we don't want them. We don't want them to stay as long as however long that they do, because the more that they stay, they end up damaging that vessel. And sometimes medical care, sometimes the energy work can reverse, but a lot of the times the damage is done. So that's why you want to have that addressed immediately and take care of it. Now, there's some people that I've remembered through my studies that they kept them. And one of them was one of my partners. And that partner of mine was warned. And they didn't care because they ended up liking it. They got comfortable with being uncomfortable. And eventually that person retired. And I won't say how they retired. So you see what I'm saying? Walk-ins and takeovers isn't always something that you want to allow to just kind of fester there and stay there just because you may not understand or you can't see or you don't fully get the complexities of energy. And trying to deny it can be very detrimental in more levels than just yourself. How about the people that you care about? What about the wonderful job that you may have? So when there's a walk-in and takeover, you want to have someone that knows what they are doing to clear it. Because I have had people say, well, I try to clear it. I'm like, it's not the same as maybe you're a practitioner and you learned how to take a wayward or like, you know, a soul that didn't realize that they crossed over. And so they're stuck in between different levels of energy fields. And so then you're able to pull that one out and send that out. There are different levels, okay? So you're like, but I used my talisman, I used my crystals, I used my waters, and I don't understand. Again, there are different levels of frequencies. Now those talisman, crystals, waters, they're there to not allow them to completely consume you. They're kind of like, it's kind of like vitamins, right? If you're sick, or like you may have already caught the flu, and so you're taking, maybe we'll say, some kind of over-the-counter, you're still dealing with the symptoms, but it's not taking you over completely and knocking you out. So it's that kind of idea. You'd rather have it than not. But you will need someone, like when we go to a medical doctor or we go to an energy doctor, it's like we need these symptoms to be addressed. So I'm just giving you some ideas because I have been noticing that these energies are totally affecting people in such a really personal way. And it's becoming more of a consistent issue. And I'm going to tell you, when I was asked this week, and I said, I was the one that was like, I'll pay whatever I need to pay to make sure I never have to go through these entities, other people's curses and spells. Like, what do I need to pay? My husband and I were like, we don't care, and we'll drop it. And then everybody I've ever gone to, and I mean consistently, would say, sweetheart, that's not how it works on this planet. Your soul didn't come in here to be incarnated on this planet for a cheat sheet. You came here to actually be encountered with these things. And here's another thing I want to share with you all. If you're having more of the paranormal activity happening, guess what? Congratulations, you've leveled up. You have now become a threat to the system. You are now a threat to the point where these paranormal energies, wherever they're coming from, on planet, off planet, they're going, oh my goodness. If this person keeps getting stronger and their abilities keep getting fine-tuned and they're becoming more knowledgeable and now they're not afraid, they're going to give us a difficulty, a pushback in the plans, whatever those plans are, whether it's individually of the energy or whatever the group of whatever those influences are. So that's when I go, oh, well, honey, well, you're leveling up. You're becoming more of a threat. So, and they're like, well, what about the other people? I'm like, oh, the other people, their downfall's there. Sometimes I'll occupy them just to kind of get what they need to get them to do, which is why all of a sudden people are like, I don't remember me doing that. I don't remember taking out the whole family. Ooh, yuck. Because they were so unaware. They were so in their own world distracted that they didn't even realize that that energy came in to use them. So there is, to some extent, I'm not saying all criminal cases are based upon because they were possessed. I'm not saying that. But I'm also saying you got to have an idea that there is also the possibility. Okay? And the weird thing is we've even seen people where people will say, I completely blacked out. I don't remember that. And then you show them video of them committing these terrible acts, whether if it wasn't a criminal act, but even like I've had known people as I grew up where the husband was a complete drunk and had hit the wife in front of other people at an event, and there was a video of it. And they're like, I swear, I don't remember that. There's a reason why alcohol is called spirits. So I'm just sharing these things because I know people think that there's a one for all, that we can completely stop everything. No, I wish there was. Trust me, I have paid very well. Never thought that what I ever paid out to clear my family and to take care of myself was not valuable. I'm freaking valuable, okay? If I'm willing to spend money on entertainment and clothes and little things that I like to eat or an experience, are you kidding me? I'm going to invest in protecting myself, number one, because if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of anyone else. And then I screwed my whole mission here. So number one is me. And I've also invested, which I have studied, and my people that are with me know I am very, very studious, very determined and disciplined when it comes to learning, because I've been there, done this. And I'm like, no, I'm going to be better equipped. No, I'm going to be knowledgeable. No, I'm going to connect to other people like me. And we're going to become our own league, and we're going to defend one another. We're going to protect each other. I'm not doing this alone. And those who have had sessions with me, you see me, I'm not trying to pretend like, oh, it's just me. I'm so amazing. Oh, no, I am amazing, but not to the level where I think I can't call upon help. I call upon Jesus. I call upon angelic beings. I call upon cosmic beings of light. I use sound frequencies. I do all kinds of commands. I do body work. I use a light language. I'm not trying, you know what I mean? You got to get to a point where you're going to allow yourself to expand and put that unhealed ego to the side. And you're going to be like, Spirit, divine, creator, whomever you are connecting to, grant me clarity, wisdom, understanding. Help me to be powerful and to use my power wisely. So I'm just giving you guys these ideas because Oh my goodness. I swear it has increased. And when I literally go, yay, you don't have any ether cords. Yay, you don't have any entities. Like, I mean that from the genuine of my heart, because that means you're doing something good, your intuition, you're following it, you're not going into a certain situation because you're just like, I don't feel right about it. I'm not going to do it. Of course I'm going to congratulate you. Of course we're going to celebrate your intuition. You are learning how to become more aware of your surroundings. Of course I am. Are you kidding me? So when I'm like, oh my gosh, and here's another thing I wanted to show. This is what's been going on too. And those who've been taking sessions with me will notice. Okay, so check this out. This literally has been happening, okay, for a lot this week, but it happens. So then I am going to check to see what's going on. I have a category list that I go off of, okay? I do all kinds of methods. I'm listening to my clairsenses, number one. That's how I know then to check. Secondly, I use muscle testing. I use copper, pure copper, dowsing rods, my pendulum. I have charts. I have other forms that I've used from my curanderos, my healers, that are not taught in today's society. This is one of those things that you happen to be, if you got in, you were meant to be in. And so I don't share those things because I'm not allowed to. So anyways, I use all these things to confirm and validate what I'm feeling. So here's what happened this week. And it's not just with one person. This happened with multiple people this week. So I'm a clairsentient. So I'm the vessel, I'm the conduit as the energy is running through my body. All of a sudden, I'll start getting, which is why people like watching me, because as a clairsentient, my body reacts right in front of you. There's nothing I can do to stop it. But that's how I can read what you're going through, what you're experiencing, what you're feeling. I'll be like, do you feel a tightening in here? Do you feel a pain in this area? I feel like there is some sharp things, because then I know it's a knife in the back or an axe, or I see darts because I feel all these needles in my hands as I'm trying to heal them. I can't even move on. So then what ended up happening, I'm testing, right, to see which specific influence that I need to focus on and release. My copper rods were going this, or they'd go, and I'm like, oh, and then and those who've gotten sessions with me, I call it on my team and I say, unveil, and I'll open the veil. That's how I do it. And I open. Now, sometimes the veil will want to close really quick, or I get a quick glimpse and I go, oh, I saw you. And then I'll do it again. And then or whatever I need to do to get me to see and confirm what's going on. And then all of a sudden, so had an interesting veil this week. It was different than other people's veils. That was the first time I seen something like that. You have to go with your intuition. So no, I didn't go based upon any more of the tools. I went through complete gut instinct, man, and what my spirit team was channeling me with. And so what I did was I went straight to the violator, okay, the energy that attacked my client, and I went straight at it. I was like, boom, boom, release, release, release. Then the client got to see when I used the tools, because they used a way that I wouldn't be able to see. So if you're not seasoned, if you're not practiced, you may say, oh, look, all the chakras are all aligned, so that means nothing's wrong with you. Bullshit. Bullshit. So that's why I say learn, study, practice, read. I don't give a crap what you need to do. Don't just allow that only to be, oh, that's an indicator everything's okay. That's not true. There's more to it than meets the eye. So if you're going through all this, if you're not a clairsentient, you're like, well, what if I'm not a clairsentient? If you're an empath, forget about it. Oof. You're going to really have to clear yourself. So even tools will be influenced, and you'll see them. They're like, or, you'll go, whatever you use may even struggle to tell you. And you're like, oh, hell no. For me, that's an indicator. If it even goes, I'll go, wait a minute, let me go back. And my people have seen me. I'll check and check and check, and then I'll unveil. And then like this week, I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going in. And I went in, cleared it, and then everything else started showing up, because those possessions, those ghosts, those walk-ins and takeovers could no longer, or other entities or aliens, what have you, whatever the spirit, the offending spirit was no longer present in the person's field, so they can no longer hide. And they can no longer create that confusion energetically to the person or to the practitioner. So that's why I tell people, I'm like, A lot of people like, I'll work on, so I tell them, I go, look how powerful you are. Look how strong you are. You're standing in your power because your chakras, you may have, okay, indicator, Earth Star chakra. If that sucker's out, that means that's my number one indicator because it's the physical and it's the transpersonal. It's the duality. They exist. Okay. So for example, if you've gone through a major shock, a trauma, some kind of nasty something happened, this is where we use the psychology. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn is activated, usually in the Earth Star. So then everything else may be aligned. So we'll say usually the Earth and Root are the two that are off balance. And then the rest of them could be really strong because a person is learning to get stronger and stronger. But yeah, they're under attack because, they maybe have gone to a museum or they went to a family's house and that one of the family members have several entities attached to them. And maybe that person was drinking and partying, smoking weed, taking a freaking breather, a break. And so maybe they didn't think about, protecting themselves or putting the shields up. They just wanted to kind of just be human, right? And then all of a sudden goes, boop, boop, and attaches to them. And they're like, why do I feel weird? And they think maybe because I partied too much or maybe I worked so much. And so they, make excuses. And so this is where your intuition serves you. You got to go deeper. The way that I was trained in one of my certifications was digging, is what we call it. So I'll channel and then spirit team will say, ask these questions because what's happening is I'm changing the energy with all the other influences that are here to protect you, to defend you, to heal you. They're going to dislodge in your brain memories. All of a sudden, you're like, hey, wait a minute. I feel that it's this. And then I'll check and I'll show them like, yay, your awareness is kicking in. You're beginning to really fine tune and tune in. Yes. And the reason why, if I'm allowed to ask you a question, is to make you feel, acknowledge, and start learning how to interpret the subtle energies and the visions and whatever your clear senses are to be active. So that's why I'll do that. So I know this may seem like a lot to other people and they may not believe that it's true, and that's okay too. But keeping silent, denying it, pretending that it's not real is not serving anyone, is it? And I'd rather share and tell someone than allowing that energy consume them and take completely over and screw them and the life that they were meant to have and the people that are around them that care about them. So this is a very vulnerable and uncomfortable topic that many may not understand or may get angry and triggered by. So I'm sorry if I trigger you, but there must be a reason. If it does trigger you, there is some kind of indicator that you must start learning, or that at some point inside your spirit and your energy, not your conscious, not your ego, is telling you there's some truth to that. So I am telling everyone, when I was visited on January 1st, 2021, I had my cosmic beings of light come to me and they said, Jess, you have to teach people. You must start channeling more. You need to start putting videos out there because there are many, and when I saw, it was too much. It was too much for me. And those who've been with me for years, some of you guys were in California when I first started, and now you guys moved to different states. So we've been together ever since. You guys know who you are. When I opened the door, one of them's going to remember this. When I opened the door right behind this person, I saw the ocean of people that I was going to take care of. And the person goes, oh, you're having a vision. And I go, hold on. And I'm interpreting. And then I tell this person, so this person's been with me ever since. So I'm telling you, on January 1st, 2021, they were showing me like, you need to share this. So Intuitive Senses Workshop has been designed. It is not just for beginners. It's not just for advanced. It's for everyone. Why is this so unique? It is literally my ancient lineage, my trainings from my family, from my healers, because I had different ones as I was growing up, because we moved a lot. So if I had to leave, and back in the day, they didn't have the Zoom, and my mom wanted to have someone local or whatever. Now she got over that as we got older, because she found out that energy doesn't need to touch someone. It actually works even more profoundly, actually, with the distance. So we've had our healer for over 20 years that has done remote work for us. So before it became pandemic, and before it was cool and trending, and before Zoom and cell phones and all that worked, there was no pictures. We've been doing remote work for over 20 years. So I'm just giving these ideas because it's time to come out of the closet. It's time from staying silent, because there's going to be too many people that can become victimized, and you're going to have to recognize it within yourself. And I'm just giving you guys just a little bit, just a little taste, some signs, what to become aware of. And you're going to have to check too. My clientele know, I'll check, is this physical? Is this metaphysical? I did that even yesterday. Is this because of the type of work that they do? And I also tell you guys, I'm not off the ground. I mean, I am realistic. It could be your job that may be causing your body to hurt a certain way, maybe a position, maybe you slept wrong. We'll check, and then I clear it, and then that client and myself, it's gone. And we're like, okay, so it wasn't just physical, it's actually metaphysical. And then we'll feel a little soreness, and then once I disconnect, it's gone. I'm like, oh my God, I'm back in my body. Cool. There's nothing flowing through my body anymore. Great. I'm back to myself. And so you guys will see that. But anyhow, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm going to be talking about this way more. Spirit, during the time in August, had come to me and said, Jess, we need you to change your hours. And because you're going to need time to talk about what's going on. And you couldn't do it before because I was in training. I was developing for this moment. So everything came into its perfect synchronicities. So I am so grateful that I was able to share this with all of you. Please let me know, have you experienced some form of paranormal activity? Here at Life Force Energy, we've been doing this for years. There's times I've taken it off the menu because Spirit told me to take it off the menu. And then they told me to bring it back on. We do house clearings, we do businesses, we've done lands, and I've done it for many people, though it wasn't on the menu. It was kind of like the in and out, like the secret menu. And if you're from California, and now here in Colorado, they're here, you'll understand the secret menu. If you knew me and we had this rapport and this closeness, then I would do this for you. And I was very particular because people think that it's like going to get your nails done or getting your hair done. That is not the same case, you guys. We're dealing with ancient grounds. We're dealing with people that lived there previously. We're dealing with people that came to your house to visit or stay, and they had some nasty crap on them. So, bless. Okay, they're the ones that are coming in to defend you, to teach you, to protect you, to intercede on your behalf in the battlefield, whether it's religion, spirituality, or a profession. Anyone that is willing to go in to defend you, love them, honor them, send them blessings, and speak protection upon them. Because this isn't a glorious job where it's like, oh my gosh, I get to wear gowns and I get to, go to the red carpet and, I get to wear like free stuff to sponsor. No, they're putting themselves and their family and their location at jeopardy. And I always tell people, if you do my kind of work, you better clear yourself. You better clear your place. Like every time, because I've met and I've taken care of a lot of people that are readers, that are healers, and they don't clear themselves. I clear myself before. You see me clearing myself during, right? Those who had been with me. I clean myself afterwards. I clear my whole space. I clear my tools. You're never coming in. I treat it because I used to be in the medical field, and I used to work at Cedars-Sinai in LA, and I worked for a neurologist, at that time, I don't know if